Hey Cake Chums, and welcome back to another video from the Mr. Baker's Cakes kitchen. First of all, let me start by apologising that we didn't have an upload last week. It has been an absolutely crazy couple of weeks. Amongst other things, I have been hard at work on my latest kind of big cake project. Obviously, the cake shows and things aren't happening this year, but there are still kind of the online challenges that some of the cake community like to get together and produce. And one of those will be coming out this coming week. So my contribution to that has definitely been keeping me busy. I wish I could show you it now, but of course we do have to wait till the grand reveal. So do keep an eye on my social media accounts. If you aren't already following, I will link them down in the video description. And I think Wednesday is the day that that will be coming out. Let me also apologise for the fact that I look and feel absolutely pants this week. It is now half term here in the UK, and as with most primary school teachers, that basically means that I catch end of termitis, which I think is basically where your body has been running purely on caffeine and adrenaline for the last couple of weeks. And then as soon as you kind of stop, everything just kind of goes meh, and you just need a few days to kind of recover. So it's nothing serious at all. I haven't got any COVID symptoms or anything, just got a bit of a sore throat, a couple of cold-like symptoms, and I think a couple of days of rest will be just the ticket. But anyway, with Halloween fast approaching, I thought this week's video would be the perfect opportunity to get stuck into some really fun, spooky cakes, bakes, and crafts for you guys to enjoy at home over the Halloween weekend. And yeah, so without much further ado, let's get to the video. Now, if you're here because you were expecting to see the next instalment of my Great British Bake Along series, I actually wanted to have a bit of a chat with you about that before we get stuck into our Halloween cakes and crafts. Based on the video stats, it seems that people really aren't interested in watching me bake along with the Great British Bake Off this year. Obviously, that's absolutely fine, and if that is the case, then it just seems a bit silly for me to kind of power on for the entire 10 weeks if you guys don't really want to watch that. That being said, if it's just because people were busy and you're kind of disappointed that I'm thinking I might not finish the challenge, then do let me know down in the comments. As I've already said, it is half term this week, so I do have the time to get all caught up if people would like me to. But as I've already said, it does seem a little bit silly to plough on with that when I've already got loads of other really fun content ideas lined up instead. So essentially, yeah, do just let me know down in the comments, to bake or not to bake. That is definitely the question. But yes, in the meantime, I thought that this week's video was the perfect opportunity for us to get spooky. And when I started planning my Halloween content for this year, for 2020, which, let's be honest, has been a pretty scary year anyway, I started by heading out to my local supermarkets because, of course, the things you can find at those generally are available throughout the country. So if I find stuff that I can use in my projects, you guys can then access them fairly simply yourself. I have to say, I was a little bit disappointed. While there is tons of kind of Halloween costumes and Halloween decor items and all sorts of things like that, there wasn't really much in the way of cake or baking supplies specifically dedicated to Halloween. I was able to pick up some things like some different sweet mixes, like these rather cool popping candy eyeballs and some little chocolate pumpkins, and I think possibly the pumpkins were from Tesco's and the eyeballs were from Sainsbury's. It was a couple of weeks ago now. And one of the supermarkets did also have some Halloween cupcake cases, which look like this. But other than that, the only thing that really got me excited was this rather cool Halloween cupcake decorating kit, which I think was from Tesco's, but I could be wrong. In here, you basically get 12 cupcake cases and then some card toppers of a dragon, a pumpkin, a cat, and a bat. And I have used those on some cupcakes myself, and this is what they look like. Do excuse the really messy decoration of that cupcake. I'll explain what was going on there in a minute. But yeah, as someone who is a bit of a sprinkle mix fiend and really loves stocking up on seasonal stuff like that, I was a bit disappointed. Luckily, of course, the internet always comes through, so I managed to pick up some really cool Halloween sprinkles from Purple Cupcakes, and I can put a link in the video description to where I got them from if anyone's interested. And I actually combined a couple together to create kind of my own sprinkle mix, which looks like this. I wonder if I can do that on camera. And as I say, that is a combination of two different sprinkle mixes. So as I say, I'll link both of those down in the video description, and if you want to get your hands on them, you'll be able to buy them and mix them just like I did. Hashtag not sponsored. On the subject of supermarkets, I will be honest, I have only been to Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Asda and Marks and Spencer's. So if you tend to shop in places like Aldi, Lidl, B&M, Home Bargains, those sorts of places, and you've seen some really cool Halloween baking gear or sprinkle mixes and things like that, do let me know down in the comments, because there is still time for me to head there and pick up some bits if they've got some cool stuff. But anyway, of course, once I had my Halloween kind of bits and pieces assembled, the next thing to do was to come up with some really fun cake and baking and decorating ideas for content to share with you guys, not only right here on the Mr. Baker's Cakes YouTube channel, but also in some of the other places that I've been popping up recently. In case you didn't know, I shoot a weekly live cooking or baking video for Kenwood. I am now a Kenwood brand ambassador, and I work with them on something called the Kenwood Kids Club. We're in the process of building a whole online community for our budding bakers and keen cooks, and you can find out more about that at the Kenwood Kids Club website. But as part of that, I do a live baking or cooking video every week over on the Kenwood Kids Club YouTube channel. Throughout October, I decided that with Halloween looking a little bit different this year and not being able to go out trick-or-treating or have Halloween parties and things like that, I thought we'd do a bit of a Halloween takeover on the channel and come up with some cool child-friendly recipes that our Kenwood Kids Clubbers could really get their teeth into, and hopefully produce a bit of a Halloween spread when it comes to the Halloween weekend itself. The first Halloween project we did over on the Kenwood Kids Club channel was this really cool Halloween bark, which is basically just a combination of dark and coloured milk chocolate sprinkled with Halloween sprinkles and these really cool eyes, which I totally forgot about. I did also find these in pretty much all the local supermarkets actually, and they are just some edible eyes from a company called Cake Decor. And I just think they're really cool. They're so versatile. You can use them kind of in your bakes, on biscuits, on chocolate bark. And so, yeah, they've been popping up quite a lot. And again, they're not sponsored. I just found them in the supermarket and I just think they're really cool. So yes, they're really fun. And what I might see if I can do is drop in a little clip of that video here. But if you guys fancy having a go at making some chocolate bark of your own, it's a really, really simple process. And definitely fun for kids to get to grips with, then I will link the video up in the top corner and you can click through to the Kenwood Kids Club and watch that and follow along, hopefully. The full ingredient list for any of my Kenwood Kids Club videos is always posted over on the Kenwood Kids Club website. So again, I'll post a link to that down in the video description today so that you can head over there and get caught up on anything that you might fancy having a go at. This week saw me post the second instalment of my Halloween takeover on the Kenwood Kids Club channel, and I was sharing a recipe that I've been working on for a little while now for spiced pumpkin cupcakes, or pumpkin spice cupcakes, whatever you prefer. As I confessed in the video, I've never actually had a pumpkin spiced anything. So I know pumpkin spice lattes, I think, kicks off the trend, possibly from Starbucks. And now you can buy pumpkin spice anything and everything. But I've never had pumpkin spice myself. As far as I understand it, I believe that pumpkin spice doesn't actually contain any pumpkin. It's just a combination of different spices that are commonly used in pumpkin pie, or I'm not really sure. Perhaps somebody can educate me down in the comments. But from what I can tell from looking online is that essentially it's a bit like mixed spice here in the UK, but with a higher proportion of cinnamon. Again, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong. So this recipe essentially kind of takes the foundations of a carrot cake recipe, but instead of carrot, we're using pumpkin, grated pumpkin, and then it's chock full of mixed spice and cinnamon. These were then topped with a spiced vanilla buttercream, which is absolutely delicious. And then we just decorated them using our edible eyes and just some simple sugar paste or fondant decorations. And this is what we ended up with. Do they not look absolutely adorable? Fair enough, they don't really look like pumpkins, but I think they look pumpkin enough for our young viewers, and I have to say guys, they taste absolutely delicious. So if you fancy getting your Halloween bake on, again, I will link the video on how to make our pumpkin spice cupcakes up in the corner of the screen, and you'll have to be sure to let me know what you think. And of course, how they compare to actual pumpkin spice things. Am I on the right track with my recipe, or have I just completely made up something new entirely? Incidentally, next week on the Kenwood Kids Club channel, we're going to be doing our final Halloween takeover recipe, and it's actually going to be something savoury, because kind of my vision is that at the end of the whole series, or the whole takeover, you are able to create a whole Halloween meal. So you've got your main course, which I'll be showing in next week's video. You've got your dessert, which is your cupcakes, which we did in this week's video. And you've got your treat to have while you're watching your scary movie, which is your chocolate bark. If anyone decides to have a go at all three of them, do be sure to let me know over on social media, because as always, I love to see what you've been doing at home. Of course, this isn't just a baking or cooking channel. I also like to do a fair bit of cake decorating, and this week I also popped up in another live video over on the Dublin Sugar Craft Guild Facebook page. Why yes, Mr. Baker's Cakes is international, don't you know? And in that video I was demonstrating how to make a creepy cauldron cake in only 90 minutes. So we started with 2 freshly baked cakes. They were so freshly baked, in fact, they were still warm. And in that 90 minutes we took them from those just cakes and turned them into this. I will confess that the board it's on is actually the one that used to be on the back shelf over there. So if you fancy learning how to make a stone effect cake board like this one, that video is actually right here on my channel, so I'll link that up in the corner again. But yes, other than that, everything else we did live in the video, from carving the cake, crumb coating it, covering it in sugar paste, and then making all of these really fun and colourful decorations. So again, I will insert a bit of a clip of that somewhere at some point during me talking, so that you can see that in action. But I'll also put a link to the Facebook video over on the Dublin Sugar Craft Guild page, so that if you fancy having a go at making your own creepy cauldron cake, you can go and do that. But of course, I'm not just here to tell you about stuff that I've already done elsewhere, because that would be a bit silly. Those videos already exist. So I thought what might be fun as well is to do a bit of a quick mini Halloween cupcake tutorial right here on the channel today, so that you guys can have a go at that as well if you want. A bit of a YouTube channel exclusive. If you fancy making these along with me today, all you are going to need are some freshly baked cupcakes, and I have a couple of different cupcake recipes over on my website, Mr. Baker's Cakes the blog. So again, I'll put a link to those in the video description. There's going to be so many links in the description this week. Anyway, yes, you need some cupcakes. You will need some buttercream, and I have coloured some vanilla buttercream, a really dark kind of grey black colour, using my Rainbow Dust Pro Gel in black. You probably won't be able to get it completely and utterly black with your buttercream unless you get into kind of the complex partially melting it, resetting it method, which who's got time for that? Most of this will be hidden anyway under sugar paste, so I'm happy with the dark grey. You will need some ready to roll icing in white, some of the aforementioned edible eyes, and again, these are available in pretty much all of the supermarkets at the moment, so they should be fairly easy to get hold of. And then finally, you are going to need a sharp kitchen knife and a palette knife. That is it. And what we're going to start by doing is just taking some of our dark grey buttercream and spreading it onto the top of our cupcakes. Now, you don't need to be particularly neat about this, and that's one of the great things about Halloween, is that spooky and scary things generally aren't really neat, tidy and pristine, and that's why it makes them a fun project to do with little ones as well. So if you're looking for fun craft ideas to do with your kids at home over the half-term break, then I highly recommend doing some spooky cupcake making. Not just these ones, of course, you can also head over to the Kenwood Kids Club channel and have a go at my spiced pumpkin cupcakes too. So once you have covered the top of your cupcake, and what I was doing there, in case I didn't actually do it in shot, was just pulling that buttercream down towards the edge of the case, and the case will almost cut off the excess so that you end up with quite a neat finish around the outside. And then for the top, we just want it to be reasonably smooth. Again, not pristinely perfectly neat, just reasonably smooth. That's all we're aiming for. Did I say what type of cupcakes we're making, by the way? Spooky mummies, in case I didn't. So once you've got your cupcake looking like this one here, you're just going to grab 2 of those edible eyes that we were talking about moments ago, and you're just going to place them onto your cupcake like that. And then we're going to switch to the ready to roll icing. Just break off a little bit, give it a quick knead to get it nice and soft. And then you can either just push it flat with your hand if you don't have a rolling pin, or of course you can use a rolling pin to roll it out. Now you don't need much at all, which is why I say you can probably just do it with a soft part of your hand if need be. And I've rolled mine to probably around about 2 to 3 millimeters thick. If you do find that your sugar paste is sticking to your work surface, you can dust it with a little bit of corn flour or icing sugar. Both will work absolutely fine. And then once you've rolled out your ready to roll icing or your sugar paste or your fondant, whatever you want to call it, you're just going to take your kitchen knife and cut that icing into strips of around about 1 centimetre in width. And then, going back to our cupcake, you're just going to take those strips and lay them across the surface of your cupcake. And you can kind of do them at different angles so that they're overlapped and hanging over the edge of the cupcake. And then finally, just with your sharp knife again, just very carefully trim off any excess that is hanging over the sides. You don't need to be too neat because of course spooky mummies aren't neat either. So I'm just making a little cut just below the surface of the paper, and then I'm going to pull off any of these excess bits of icing, which of course can then be recombined and used again on another cupcake. And then essentially there is our spooky mummy cupcake. They literally take seconds to do. And your kids, or even you, can get really creative with the different expressions you can create. If you want to be really extra, you could of course take some black sugar paste and make little eyebrows and mouths that you could also add on as well. You could even take some petal dust colours and just dust a little bit along the edge of each of these bandages to make them look really old and manky. But there you go. There is our extra mini Halloween tutorial just for you guys right here. But yes, so there you go guys. Essentially, while Halloween might look a little bit different this year because we can't go out and go trick-or-treating or have Halloween get-togethers with our friends, we can still have lots and lots of fun at home with our families. And hopefully between the cauldron cake and the chocolate bark and the pumpkin spice cupcakes and our spooky mummy cupcakes right here, I've given you some ideas of things that you can do together at home to make Halloween really fun and exciting. And don't forget that on Thursday I'll be live on the Kenwood Kids Club YouTube channel whipping up a spooky dinner recipe that you guys can make at home to share on Halloween night. Of course, these were just some of the ideas that I had, so if you have come up with any fantastic fun Halloween crafts or cakes or bakes that you think other cake chums here in our community would enjoy doing at home, then do feel free to tell us about them down in the comments, or of course share them with me over on social media. As always, my links are down in the video description, and as always, if you do have a go at whipping up either one of these recipes or one of your own, make sure you share that with me over on social media too. You know how much I love seeing what you guys have been doing at home. Who knows, I might even feature some in next week's video. But Let me wrap this week's video up by wishing you a very safe and very fun Halloween 2020. And of course, I will see you at the same time next week for another video. Until then, stay safe and happy caking. Take care, guys.